Hello and welcome back to Inspired or Acquired. This is the podcast where we interview real business owners, talk real numbers, and ask them whether or not they would sell their business. We have a great episode today. Cheryl Ham is joined the podcast. She's nearby me in New Hampshire, and she has grown quickly and started Hypnotic Yarn, and we'll hear all about that. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Clint Fiore, business broker out of Texas. So, Cheryl, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much to both of you for having me today. I'm excited to have this conversation with you guys.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. So, if you don't mind, maybe tell everyone, for about a minute, like, what is this amazing, beautiful business that you've grown and who are your customers?
Yeah, sure. So I started Hypnotic Yarn in 2017, and it was a side hustle. I was working full-time corporate sales job. And I started this little kind of side hustle hobby business in my home, dyeing yarn in my kitchen. And I started it knowing that I wanted it to be a business right away. So I didn't start it as a hobby that then turned into a business. I kind of knew I wanted a business. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I'm also a creative, crafty person. And I thought I was a knitter. And I thought, what a great way to use my craftiness and start a business, because knitters and crocheters, there's a segment of that population that loves high-end hand-dyed yarn. But I couldn't really afford that when I was first starting the business. So it was also a way for me to kind of get my hands on this product that, I wanted to use. So my goal at the time was really to make enough money to pay our car payment, or make enough money to just contribute a little extra to our household and try to get ahead. We're really trying to get debt free at the time. And I thought this could be a great way to help with that. And then I also wanted to get out of the corporate world. I really knew that I did not want to work in corporate until I retired. I knew it wasn't for me. So I started this business in my kitchen. I invested about $200 to get, my first couple of skeins of yarn, right? My first couple of dyes, one pan, and we just did it. My husband chipped in when need be, and we kind of took our profits and we would reinvest it, and we just kept doing that. So we bootstrapped the entire business from where we started to where we are today. In about 2020, I quit my job. I retired from corporate and I moved out of my house. So that was kind of that big step at that point, was getting out of the house. We need to back up a little bit. We started an e-commerce site for the yarn, but about a year and a half in, we launched a subscription box. And so during kind of the end of 2020 and then throughout 2021, the subscription really blew up. It was kind of like a COVID unicorn. I know for some brick and mortar shops, COVID could be kind of bad, but for a lot of us e-commerce businesses, we really had a great unicorn year, and that was true for us for sure. So we grew from about 350 subscribers when I left corporate to 750 subscribers in our first launch after I left my job. So in one launch, about 3 days, we doubled our subscriber base. And then the next time we launched, so we have a closed subscription box model. We're not open all the time. You can't just join when you want to. So when we launched again, probably June of that year, June of 2021, we brought in another 400 subscribers in about 24 hours. So we brought them in, we shut it down. By the end of that year, we were up to about 1,600 monthly subscribers. So the subscription really took over everything for us, and our just sort of one-off sales for the original website that we started kind of just sat idle for quite a bit. And then, we just kind of kept growing. We started adding some employees, and we got bigger and bigger. we moved into this new space that's right next to Apple Tree. We're literally in the building right next door. And yeah, we now are a team of, I think, 9 people. And, now we're working on growing both sides of the business. So we've now brought our one-off sales up to, I don't know, like 100,000, 200,000, something like that a year on top of the subscription. So
Pretty amazing. And you've only been at this full time for a few years.
yeah.
And so this year, you're on pace for how much revenue?
So we are on a run rate to do about $1 million this year. And I think about 80% of that is the subscription, and then 20% is just our normal e-commerce stuff.
Pretty amazing.
I know. It kind of blows my mind too, because, again, we did it with no loans, no debt, no anything. And I don't know, it's kind of crazy.
Well, Cheryl, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. I've been excited to hear this story ever since Patrick told me about you. And you already answered a lot of the questions I was going to ask you. I like to just treat our guests, kind of like an owner that would call me as a broker saying, hey, I'm thinking about selling my company. I don't quite know what it's worth. I usually have an initial conversation where we'll kind of play 20 questions with you and get the trends and try to figure out what's going on. So you've already answered revenue. You did 830,000 last year. You're on a run rate to do about $1 million this year. 9 employees. You got about 80-20 split on your revenue, subscription versus the one-off e-commerce, which is very healthy sounding. Let's try to figure out a little bit about kind of what are you taking home from this business. So started as a side hustle, became your full-time job. Patrick had said you were doing, roughly 200,000 in profit last year, and it might be doing 280, 300 this year. Does that sound roughly correct?
This year we've already done, 200 is our net operating income so far year to date as of September. So we've done 200.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we're estimating about 300 year to date would be our net operating income.
And do you pay yourself a salary?
I do. Yes.
Is that included in that number, or is that on top of that number?
It's included in that number.
Okay. I actually know this model pretty well. I have a good friend that has a subscription box business out of Austin, and I've been advising him over the years and just watching him blow up with it. And these are valuable companies. My hat's off to you, because you started in this area of passion. Like, I wanted this yarn for me, but then I wanted to turn it into a real business. And I want to tell you, this is a real business at this point. So like you could sell this thing. There is transferable value. I love that most of your revenue is recurring revenue in nature. Do you have a good handle on your like churn rate, or like how long your lifetime customer value, or how long your average customer is sticking with you on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So our churn rate varies between about 4 and 6%. So, we have a 96, 95% retention rate, which is great. And our customer usually sticks around for about 400 days, so a little over a year.
That's really good. Yeah, I think on these kind of e-commerce and subscription box model businesses, I hate to just say exactly what I think it's worth, because it requires a little bit more research. Some of these more high-tech online-based businesses, the value can be a little bit more complicated to calculate, because it's more than just a multiple of earnings. Sometimes they will take into account lifetime customer value, customer acquisition cost, your churn rate, and even your net promoter score. I don't know if you're keeping track of that, your customer.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so like that's another good one. Just talking about getting yourself ready for sale and what acquirers like to see in these types of businesses is you could create like a survey opportunity at some point in your customer journey and track that over time. And if you just want to look up net promoter score, there's a simple methodology there. There's a calibrated question that people ask. You've probably seen it a million times as a customer, but it's like, on a scale of 1 to 10, would you refer our business to a friend or family member? and it's like the 9s and 10s, or the 8, 9s, and 10s, I believe, are considered promoters, and then 6 or below are considered detractors. Yeah, and I think it's 7 and 8 they consider neutral. Does that sound right, Patrick?
Yeah. And then there's
Yeah.
you get a score. You like
Yeah, the
plug it in
net
the
score is
calculator, you
like
get a score.
promoters minus detractors equals your net promoter score. And people that are in this type of business, especially the subscription models, your net promoter score is a really good indication of the health of your business and the sustainability of growth of your business. And so, like, just getting that data and that being, trending the right direction is helps you shore up value, as along with your other useful stats like your customer acquisition cost and things like that. So, a book I like to recommend for people with recurring revenue models is called The Automatic Customer by John Warrillow. The Automatic Customer has a lot of these metrics in it, and just simple ways that the business owner can apply that to your business. So that's always a good read. I mean, I think just from what I know so far, and you're working full time, correct?
In the business?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually work, our hours here at the office are 9 a.m. to 2:30. So we work kind of a part-time schedule. I work a little bit more than that, but yeah.
And what's your primary duties?
So we're currently implementing EOS.
Awesome.
So we've went from a team of like 3 to a team of 9 within not a lot of time. So really everybody had been, in the not so distant past, just generalists. And that included me as well. Like, I was working on the production floor. I was sort of doing all the things. Now that we do have a bigger team, I've taken a step back, and I'm trying to focus more on becoming the CEO of the business, where I'm working on the revenue driving, activities. I'm doing our promotions, setting up, what we're going to be doing next year, what our revenue goals are going to be, all of that stuff, marketing, networking, all of those.
Great. I'm a big fan of the EOS system. I've been an implementer of that system before, and I run my companies on EOS. So big fan. And I'm the typical like ADD entrepreneur that's scattered a million ways, and it really kind of keeps me corralled and on task and focused on working on the business and growing it. So
yeah,
you're making a lot of great decisions. I really love your growth rate. I love your business model. Love your passion for what you're doing. I'm prepared to say you're in the $1 million valuation range. So like maybe plus or minus 150, 200,000. Once I take into account these other metrics to see how far we could bend the multiple up for you based on the intangible other metrics of this company. But just on a multiple of earnings, I think you'd be probably pretty easily in the 3 to 4x range, and potentially able to be on the higher end of that if you've got good low customer acquisition cost, high lifetime customer value, low churn, high net promoter score. All those things help you kind of raise your multiple in this space. And so congratulations. I mean, started just 7 years ago as a side hustle out of your house, left your job 4 years ago. And I think you're getting to have a 7-figure asset here in this company. With that said, we always ask on this show, is that tempting? Are you at the point now where you're saying, you know what, that's a pretty good payday. That might be helpful for my family. I might have some other things I'd like to do if I took some chips off the table. Like, would that type of number get you tempted at this stage? Or are you thinking, no, let's keep going and stay long term? How do you react to that?
Yeah. So that number is sort of what I thought that it would probably be worth based on, my current earnings. So I feel like that's good to hear that, I wasn't too crazy in thinking that. I think that's great. I think it's great hearing where I would fall in the multiplier range. It's definitely not a number that I would love to sell at, because I don't know. It's just, I think we still have a lot of growth left to do, and I think that right now, my focus is on growing a business that makes a ton of money and that I don't want to sell, right? Because it's just running itself and is super profitable. I mean, I guess that's probably everybody's goal, but I think that we're really on track for doing that. I mean, our gross profits are good, our net profits are good. And I think that we have a lot of room to grow still. So yeah, so I feel like that number is wonderful and it's great to have. But I feel like $1 million, although it sounds such a great amount of money, it doesn't go that far these days, does it?
Not as far as it used to.
Yeah.
Hey guys, wanted to take a quick break from the show just to tell you about our companies for a second. I'm Patrick Dichter and I own Apple Tree Business Services. We do quality accounting and tax nationwide. So if you're running a business or looking to buy a business, we'd love to help you out with accounting and tax services. You can find us at appletreebusiness.com. And Clint, tell us about Bison Business.
Yeah, Bison Business is my firm. We do nationwide M&A. So we help people buy and sell companies. Most of our customers have companies in the 1 to 20 million revenue range, profitable businesses. So if you've got one and you're ready to get acquired, you can reach out to us at bisonbusiness.com for a complimentary evaluation. We can get you to market and get you sold. If you're a listener that's a buyer that wants to buy a company that size, make sure you're on our email list because we'll send you out deals first before they hit the market anywhere else. But we'd love to serve you anytime you're thinking of acquiring or selling your business. We want to be your first stop at Bison Business.
Awesome. Now back to the show.
People that are, your age that are kind of mid-career and, think about $1 million sale. It's not like it was 50 years ago where $1 million sets, feels like you're set up. This feels like usually when people exit around the $1 million or $2 million sale, it's because they're going to take that capital and use that to springboard them to the next, whatever else their next chapter in life is.
Yeah.
And so that's how a lot of people think about it and of selling is they're not thinking of a set for life sale. They're thinking about setting themselves up for success in the next chapter. And so with that said, fast forward 5 years here, are you feeling like you still want to be doing this full time 5 years from now? Let's pretend you keep growing at the rate you're growing, which Patrick, what's she growing at? 15, 20% a year, something like that?
Yeah. Top line, I think is, 17 or 20% year over year, but the margin is improving.
Yeah.
And you have some bottlenecks, right? Like if you were maybe, I don't know, fully staffed or had more hours, do you feel like you all would be able to do more?
Yeah. So we literally just hired 4 people within the last couple of months. So I feel like we're just getting up to speed. So I feel like, we've been in this growth phase and growth eats money, right? It just is like a money eater. And so I feel like we're trying to hit scale. And I think we're kind of this close to doing that with the employees that we have now. It's made such a difference in just a really short period of time. And next year, our goals are to focus on people and equipment, because I think with some additional equipment, we could also be working a lot more efficiently and probably get our profit margins up even a little bit higher. So yeah, we have some bottlenecks that we're working through, but I think we have a solid plan to work through them. We just have to get there.
Does scaling over the next few years, maintaining that 17, 20% growth rate, does that sound realistic to you? Like you think you'll be able to keep that type of growth going?
I think we can, because I think right now we could be growing faster if we had, the resources and the manpower and those things. Part of that was getting into this bigger space that we're in. We moved from a 2,000 square foot space to 8,000 square feet. There was a lot of things where we physically couldn't grow in the place we were at because it was just way too small. So I think it's reasonable. Yeah.
So Patrick, you're the numbers guy. I'm just kind of
yeah.
back of my napkin here thinking, her growth rate 5 years from now, you think she might be 2.5-ish revenue?
Yeah, I was, we haven't done this in a while, but I've got a little bit of a calculator forecast going on here. So if you did $1 million this year, and if you're seeing this on the visuals here on the show, but if you carried 20% top line growth, 4 or 5 years from now, you'd be over
$2
million top line.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping the margin the same.
Yeah.
That would get us closer to 600K, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you kept that, 28% SDE, you'd be 580, right under 600K.
So let's do a hypothetical here, Cheryl.
Mm-hmm.
We meet for coffee. It's 4 or 5 years from now. You say, Clint, things have been going great. My company's now, it did over 2 million last year, 590,000 of benefit for me and my family. And I say, wow, Cheryl, I think with that, we could probably, if you were interested in selling, maybe get to market around the 3 million point.
Mm-hmm.
You're 5 years older, you've been doing this another 5 years. Is that the point where you're like, you know what, Clint, I might think about it at that point? Or are you feeling like, no, I think I've got more left in the tank? Or what do you think your response would be in that hypothetical?
I think it would really depend on what the business is taking out of me personally.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of our core values in the business, and the reason why we only work the hours that we do, is because we want to do business differently. And I think it's possible to get the same amount of work done in a smaller amount of time and just be really efficient at doing it, so that you're building a life that you love and you're not working 70 hours a week, and you're not, just creating a business that runs you into the ground, like personally and emotionally and physically. Especially with us, I mean, we're making the product that we sell. So it is very demanding physically, which people wouldn't think when they think about yarn. They think, it's like soft and squishy wool, but it's actually quite a lot of physical work. But at the same time, if I'm not personally doing that work, which I'm currently not doing much of the production side any longer, it really depends. Because if I'm happy working 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week, and things are going really well, then I don't know that $3 million would be an incentive to sell. If we were talking $5 million, $6 million, that might be more attractive. But I feel like at $3 million, if I'm working 20, 25 hours a week and the business is lovely, and I'm doing what I feel like is I'm in my zone of genius, doing the stuff that I love to do, then why would I want to sell that,
So if you're making good money, not having to work a tremendous amount of hours, and just enjoying a nice lifestyle balance, let's keep on trucking,
but I also know that you don't know what the future holds, right? I don't know. I could have a health issue. My husband could have a health issue. You never know what could potentially come down the road. And so I also think that it's something that I always want to keep at the forefront, because I want to grow a business that is saleable. I don't want to grow a business, realize I have to sell it, and then look back and go, if only I had done these other things, or if I was more focused on growing a business that could be attractive to buyers, I could be in a lot better space. So, that's kind of where my head's at with that.
I love it. I always tell sellers, it's, everybody exits at some point. So it will happen. It's just, what is it going to be on your terms or not? And you're doing the right things of trying to build a business that you never want to sell, but you easily could if you needed to. And so you have a great accountant in Patrick, right down the street from you, right around the corner from you, and you've got a US system going, and it sounds like you're getting yourself to where you're doing, management and ownership stuff, more than production or critical functions on the day-to-day ops. And all those are the exact right things to do to keep your business in good shape for a sale, should your priorities ever change. And so I'm just I'm just really excited for you, and you're creating just a great company and lots of options for yourself. Are you doing anything else besides this right now? Are you you say you're doing like coaching or consulting or anything like that for other people?
Yeah, so we're currently starting to get into the coaching space. We haven't launched any like paid product yet, but we're working on that. We're working on audience building for that coaching business. Because again, I think that when you're making the product that you sell, there is a very unique set of challenges versus somebody who is having something manufactured and they're only focused on selling it in distribution, or, content creators, or, people selling digital products. It's so different scaling something that you're literally making every single month. And there's a lot of small businesses out there that are doing it, and they want to make this their full-time income. They want to have a bigger business, and they just don't know how to manage it all. And so that's where we want to really help those people.
So this would be coaching for other makers who are maybe making clothes or making
like candle makers, soap makers, all of those like kind of niche products that, think like Etsy, all of those types of products on Etsy.
I feel like 95 out of 100 people on Etsy, they are their business, and they haven't been able to turn the corner like you have to build a team and a system and return customers like you have to where it can be a sellable business. And so I think just your playbook that you're developing in the trenches right now, just walking out your business, is going to be very valuable in the other creative, passionate creator space here on Etsy and beyond. So I could see,
let's talk about the audience building for a second. That was a wise little thing that you dropped in there. You're like, I'm building the audience first. What does that look like on Instagram, or where are you doing that?
We have spent quite a lot of time audience building. And so right now we have this like little system in place that I love. And it's something that we're sort of workshopping and kind of, making like a real life use case out of it. But so it's a lot of free content. It's a lot of valuable content. So it's kind of SEO based, blog based, newsletter subscriber based. I'm a huge fan of every single thing you do should be getting people on your newsletter. If you're not collecting your people, like you don't have a business. Like you don't own those people, right? Amen. So you're probably not going to sell to them the first time you have contact with them. So we need to be nurturing them and doing all of those things. So we're spending a lot of time letting people understand what working with us would look like by what we teach, the worksheets we put out, ways that we can help them so they can get small wins in their own business now for free. And hopefully, when we put our paid product out, they'll have already experienced some really, great small wins and see that it is possible, because people don't reach for goals they don't believe that they can reach, right? We don't set goals that we think aren't possible. And so I think my job is to educate small business owners now that these things are possible, because they're not going to want to invest money to learn if they don't think it's a realistic goal,
Got it. I like it. One other thing I was going to ask, so we're talking about US, right? Like, I don't know how far down the path are you, but have you come up with like your vision traction organizer? Like, what is the 3-year or 10-year vision that you've put out for Hypnotic Yarn?
Oh goodness. Well, that's a big question. So yeah, as far as EOS, I mean, we're I think at the beginning stages where I'm the visionary. I mean, as soon as, so I don't know if everyone who's listening has read, the EOS books, but when we read Rocket Fuel, I immediately thought like, oh, I'm 100% the visionary, 100%. And one of my employees who's been with me the absolute longest, she's 100% an integrator. So we've implemented that system. And honestly, that's really what got me out of the day to day and trusting her to like run operations and take care of all the things while I'm in this office doing all the visionary things that I do.
Yeah.
And so, I think I don't know about our 10-year goal, but like our 3 to 5 year goal, is that what you're asking? Like where we see ourselves?
Yeah.
I see our subscription being at least, 2 to 3 times the size it is now. I think we can get there within the next, say, 5 years. I know for us, a lot of our customers, they reach out to us constantly and they tell us, getting my package from you every month, like it arrived at a time that I really needed it. I was having a rough month, a rough week, like whatever it is. And that really drives us. And I love the recurring revenue. Obviously, I think like everybody should have recurring revenue in their business. But I love that we're actually touching people's lives. And it seems like, oh, it's yarn, but it makes a real impact. So I want to grow that. We're looking, like I said, we're looking to grow our team. We're looking to grow our equipment so that we can grow the one-off sales side of things as well. So we're hoping to, because it was really set to the side when we were growing the subscription. And I think we're bringing it back to life now. And we're super excited about like all of the ideas and all of the things that I think we can do with that. So yeah, I think we're just trying to grow both of them in tandem over the next few years and see where that takes us. And
that's great.
Yeah.
Do you know what your customer acquisition cost is right now?
So yes, I will say that up until maybe not this past summer, but summer of 2023, all of our growth was organic. So we didn't pay for any customer, with the exception of we do have a small, intimate affiliate program. So we would pay some affiliate commissions, but aside from that, we grew organically. We did start with Facebook ads last summer. I feel like it's kind of a necessary thing. Once you reach like a certain size, you just sort of have to pay. And we're at about $28 to acquire a new subscription customer.
That's not bad.
No, it's great.
Honestly, when I was looking at your P&L before the show, it's like, they're not spending much money at all on marketing.
Yeah, no, we just started. And because we have a closed subscription box.
What's the average subscription cost?
Like $600 a year?
Yeah, so we have several options. The lowest is $38.99 a month. And then our highest is like $80-something a month. So, we're doing somewhere between like, I don't know, 60 and 70,000 a month in subscription.
Patrick's smirking because he's thinking the same thing I am.
Math is good math.
That's very good math. I think we're both saying
$28 to get a customer, and you retain them for over a year. Yeah, and they spend $600, $700, $800 with you. Yeah.
The book I was recommending in the beginning, The Automatic Customer, talks about the LTV to CAC ratio, lifetime customer value to customer acquisition cost. And what you said with the customer staying around for 400 days, $38 a month or whatever that is, like $400 or $500 versus 20 something. That ratio is off the charts. Like usually if like private equity, sees a ratio of like 6 to 1 or better on the lifetime value versus customer acquisition cost, they're thinking, man, we're just going to dump tons of advertising dollars into this and just ramp this up till it breaks, because that's a phenomenal ratio that you have there. So I think Patrick and I are both thinking the same thing. Like bust out the checkbook, Cheryl, and get some more of those ads if they're converting at that rate.
The issue for us with the ads is that we're only open for a couple days a month. So we don't spend, I guess, like we can. So one of our goals is to start spending to get people on our wait list. So while we're closed, we can nurture them. And then when we open, try to convert them. But right now where we're really I run all the ads myself. So we don't have an outside company doing our advertising. So as I was learning about ads, we were running them when we open. So that's why our marketing budget, or what we spend, is so small, because we're only running them for a couple of days a month, really. Yeah,
but spend 5 times the amount on those couple days next time and see if that ratio holds up. You'll be happy you did.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's super fun. Great metrics. All the stuff you're tracking is right where an acquirer or a broker or anybody would want to see it, to have just a very appealing business.
Well, I'll just add, I think the difference between our subscription and maybe some other just, huge generic subscription boxes out there is that I think the number one reason people leave subscription is because they just acquire too much stuff, right?
Mhm.
How much stuff do they need, and they're getting it delivered and it gets overwhelming. But for us, one, our product is they use it. And so they need to keep
Right.
replacing it. But also, people like collecting yarn is its own hobby aside from knitting. So like you might knit, but then you also collect yarn. So I feel like our customer one person has sees
Mhm.
two types of value in what we do. So it's not that nobody feels like maybe they have too much yarn, but a lot of them are happy to just kind of hoard it and keep it and look at it and enjoy the yarn itself, even if they're not working with it, which is kind of weird. But I think that's why people stay.
Makes sense. I'm the same way with the fly fishing. Like, I have way too many flies, but yeah, I enjoy looking at them and buying them and acquiring them.
Yes.
So, yeah. This is super, super fascinating, very interesting. So, Clint, I don't know if you have any more questions or anything else you want to cover, but I am thoroughly impressed.
No, I think this has been succinct and you knocked it out of the park with your story, Cheryl, and I just like everything I'm hearing. When I look into my crystal ball, I feel like you're gonna, be able to sell successfully someday, and I almost think it's gonna be when you get more passionate about another thing, and I don't think it's going to be a retirement thing. I don't think you're going to you're a ball of energy. I don't think you're going to be like, oh, I'm just tired and want to slow down. What I think is going to happen is at some point you may have another side hustle, or your consulting might take off or something. And you're just like, Clint, I'm pulled two directions. And that's when I want you to call me, I don't think it's going to be because your business is performing poorly. I don't think it's going to be because you're burnt out. I think it's going to be at some point you're going to be like, man, I feel like I'm chasing two rabbits here and I just want to focus my energy, and that's usually a good time to think about having that conversation. So that's my crystal ball prediction as to what may happen in your life over the next 5 or 10 years. But just keep doing what you're doing in the meantime. I think I'm really proud of you, really excited to meet you, and you're doing great.
Thank you so much, and that makes a lot of sense, and you're probably not wrong. Yeah.
We'll see. So if people want to connect with you online or follow along, where's the best place they should do that?
Yeah, they can find me as at Hypnotic Yarn in all of the places. And then for the coaching side of things for small businesses, our website is IndieMadeBiz, B-I-Z.
Awesome. We'll link to that in the show notes. So Cheryl, congrats. Thanks for coming on, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Clint. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Bye.